What is the scary part about UGA football this year? Projected number one team, national champion, right? Those are the projections. They're at least going to compete for all of that. And the talk of the town this offseason has been mostly about Carson Beck and this Georgia passing offense. Are they going to replace Brock Powers? How are they going to replace the production? Well, I think that it's going to be really good, right? It's been a very positive conversation in terms of Georgia and Carson Beck through the air on this offense. But the scary part is if they figure out the run game the way that they had it figured out in the past. Now, I'm not sitting here and telling you Dejan Edwards and Kendall Milton and Dylan Bell, quite frankly, last year were a bad running back unit. There's a lot of teams in college football that would pay a lot of money to have a Kendall Milton and a Dejan Edwards and to have a combination of those guys. But in 2023, it felt like the running offense took a little bit of a dip. Part of that was a struggling rotation of injuries. Dejan Edwards starts the year unhealthy. Kendall Milton starts the year unhealthy. They're relying on walk-ons and wide receivers to hand the ball off to against some of these cupcake teams. Well, I think Georgia's going to have that a lot more figured out in 2024. That's what insiders are telling us, and that's just kind of what common sense is telling us. We're entering a year where the running back room looks like this. Transfer running back Trevor Etienne is projected to be the top back. A couple of really good years at Florida where he's in a rotation, 700 plus yards, right? He gets about 15 touchdowns in those 2 years. He shows big playability. He shows tackle breaking and elusiveness, right? He was one of the biggest fishes in the transfer portal ponds this offseason, right? And Georgia went and reeled him in. Obviously, Quinshon Judkins was the biggest names in terms of running backs, but they go and they get Trevor Etienne, and there's a lot of excitement around him. Branson Robinson has been the second most discussed running back for Georgia this offseason. He was a true freshman last year, right? He got a lot of carries early on in the year, ends up with around 300 yards, around 29 carries, a couple touchdowns. He's a big bruising running back. He's not this, I'm going to take it 60 yards running back, albeit I think it's possible. San Diego legend, really balled out down there in high school. He was one of the a lot of breakout buzz about him during spring football. Obviously, got a lot of reps. Trevor Etienne, new to the running back room. He's probably not going to just get thrown in and get true RB1 reps. Branson Robinson was not quite cleared. The next guy I'm going to talk about, Branson Robinson was not quite cleared during spring practice yet. So a lot of the production and the reps fell onto Branson Robinson's shoulders, a guy that's entering year two and a guy that people are excited about as the potential RB2 as a power back, as a change of pace back for Georgia. Change of pace is an overused term, but all of the running backs are honestly pretty different for Georgia, so you can kind of say that about all of them. They've got a guy like that who is developing in the system and is not a freshman. He's in year two. Then you've got the return of Branson Robinson. Before the 2023 season, one of my big takes was that I thought Branson Robinson was going to end up being the best running back for Georgia last year. Well, his injury ended up really hindering Georgia's offense because of the other injuries. He ruptures his patella tendon in fall camp. He misses the whole season. He misses this past spring. He was out for a long time, but he reportedly was cleared a little bit after spring practice, and he's been playing in fall camp, and he's been a go. And he's now in the rotation, a guy that was exciting as a true freshman, like Branson Robinson. Similar production around that 300-yard mark, but his was a little bit more impactful. He had a big game against Auburn his freshman year. He comes in garbage time against TCU and racks in a couple touchdowns. This is a guy that is a physical specimen. He's a freak, right? You can say that about a lot of Georgia football players, but he's kind of his own freak. I think that Branson, if he can return to form, is a legitimate running back that deserves carries. He deserves it, right? Kind of a power back and an elusive back mixed together. Can just bounce off tackles. He has moments that remind me of Nick Chubb, and people say that about a lot of Georgia's running backs. They said that about Kendall Milton. I hear people say that about Branson Robinson. To me, I see a little bit more of that with Branson Robinson, although he's a little bit more jumpy. He's a little bit more of a back. Tough to explain that, but he's a little bit more jumpy back and forth. And then the next guy that's causing excitement, Ryan Curley from Dawg Post. Oh, I know, I'm the one causing excitement. I'm back. Torn meniscus is what I've been dealing with, but I'm going to be bringing in the content. Recovering up at home, right? Family's taking care of me. Make sure you're checking out our newsletter. I'd appreciate that. That's my recovery wish is you check out our newsletter. You check out the offer. I'm putting a link down below. Dawg Post for $1 until the Alabama game. Nate Frazier, true freshman running back. He is causing excitement. Go watch his highlights. Look up Nate Frazier. I believe he went to Modern Day. He's going to be wearing number 3 for Georgia. Number 3 running backs have done pretty well for Georgia. When you think about Zeus, Zamir White, and Todd Gurley, he's electric. I mean, he's a big play player, right? That's what they went out and they got in their freshman running backs. They also grabbed that in Dwight Phillips, a big play player. Well, Nate Frazier is that. And Georgia does well when they have a really solid 2 or 3 and they can supplement it with a freshman that can come in during garbage time or even fight for carries during important snaps. Georgia's best running back rooms have been like that. I think about, you think about 2019. Kenny McIntosh was just in garbage time minutes, but he looked really good. You think about early in 2019 when he does that. James Cook, as a freshman in 2018, he gets in there, right? Obviously, those were really good running back rooms. Well, the scary part for the rest of the country is Georgia's passing offense is going to be good. They've got one of the best quarterbacks, probably the best quarterback in college football, and Carson Beck, excuse me. A good receiver room, a very good offensive line. And then they shore up a problem, which is I think that this running game is going to improve from last year, and Georgia does better when it's better. All right? Just skipping over what happened in 2023, roughly, they just didn't hand the ball off as much, and Carson threw the ball more, right? He threw 417 times just alone. Obviously, some of those were Gunnar Stockton and Brock Vandagriff throwing those passes, but they threw the ball a little bit more, and Georgia accumulated over 4,000 yards passing, something that doesn't really happen. It happened in 2022 when Georgia's offense was extremely dynamic, but you had an 800-yard rusher in Kenny McIntosh. You had a almost 800-yard rusher in Dejan Edwards. You had an almost 600-yard rusher in Kendall Milton. You had 330 from Branson Robinson. You also had the dual threat ability of Stetson Bennett. That is a way more complete running back room when you throw in Stetson Bennett as well than what they had in 2023 that was damaged with injury. Think about 2021. Zamir White, James Cook. Zamir White, 850 yards. James Cook, 728 yards. Kenny McIntosh, 328 yards. Kendall Milton, 264 yards. Stetson Bennett, 259 yards. They were winning national championships. The defense was better, but they were winning national championships when they ran the ball more effectively. Helps when you have a dual threat quarterback, but when you have Carson Beck, the passing offense is a legitimate threat. It's more of a threat than when Stetson was out there, if we're just being honest. And then you can hand the ball off. And then that threat becomes even bigger. You go back to 2018 when it was really balanced, right? And a team that was a college football playoff contender. Didn't quite get there. 2,000-yard backs in DeAndre Swift and Elijah Holyfield. Then you had Brian Herrien come in and supplement as the third guy. Not as balanced, but you had 2 guys that get 1,000 yards. These are capable 1,000-yard backs, right? Only one of them is going to do that this year, if any of them. I don't know that anyone's going to be a 1,000-yard back just because I do think Georgia will rely on its depth and its rotation. Also, if it's going to be someone, the guess is that it's Trevor Etienne, and he might miss a game, right? There's still no word on if he's going to be suspended for that Clemson game. We're not sure yet. Is that game going to hurt him? Georgia could end up playing 15, 16 games. That's plenty of time to get 1,000 yards if you're a starting running back. But I just don't know that's going to happen because I think they could end up going back to that balance, and you might see something like an 800 and a 600 and a 500 and a 400. Well, that's a good thing. That means Georgia's keeping these guys fresh, helping limit injuries, and they're creating a balanced offense that's going to help the passing game. This feels like, balance is my word. This offense feels like it could be the most balanced in 2 years. I thought that 22 was pretty balanced. I thought 21 fairly balanced, but I think that the 24 offenses definitely have potential to be better than the 2021 offense that maybe rode off the back of the defense a little bit. But this is the scary part, man. Everyone's been talking about Carson Beck. He's been the Heisman frontrunner. He's been the guy that is most likely to be the number 1 pick at this current point in time in the 2025 NFL draft. And they've got Trevor Etienne and Branson Robinson and Nate Frazier and Roger Robinson probably just foaming at the mouth, ready to play some football and ready to take some carries to the house. I do think that that's scary for the rest of the country. Think about Ohio State. They've got that balance as well through the air and on the ground. The best teams do, and that's going to be needed if they want to win a national championship. I think it's important, and I do think that that's the part that should frighten the rest of the country. Thanks for watching.